Alrighty, thank you so much for joining us for another episode of the Let's Talk About podcast. Today we have another good friend of mine from undergrad to talk about his experiences those first couple years outside of graduation. This is a good friend of mine that I met during undergrad. I have fond memories of us struggling together in music theory, and we were in different sections, but it was kind of just a table of us trying to figure it out and kind of at one point kind of teaching each other certain things. But this is John Hopkins. He's currently in Tennessee right now. But I'll give it over to him to kind of introduce himself, let you know he'll let you know what he's doing, and then yeah. So John, you have the floor.
Yeah, I'm just want to say I'm super excited that you're doing this. I think people having an outlet to kind of talk about, what goes on after those first couple of years is really important because it's a big transition. So I appreciate you putting this together, and this is really cool. This is really fun. Um, my kind of where like my musical experience that got me from beginner band to here is I'm from a very small town called Waynesboro, Mississippi. I had over my entire 6 through 12 band experience, I had 14 different band directors. So there's a high turnover rate. Yeah, there was a lot of turnover. It was a struggling program, but it was a great place for me. It was a way for me to get out of the house. It was a very productive thing for me as a young person. And then I decided that I wanted to provide the opportunity as like music as an outlet to kids for my career. So I decided to go to the University of Southern Mississippi in Hattiesburg, which is where we met. Uh, did 4.5 years there. That was an experience. I love USM to the top, but that was a lot. It pushed me in every way that a human being can be pushed. It pushed me. Um, but from there, I graduated in December of 2021, and I did a couple of odd jobs. I was an axe throwing coach. I did landscaping. I did substitute taught in schools. I did that for a couple of months, and then in March of 2022, I got a phone call from my previous band director that a position, an emergency hire, had opened. There was a program in which the band director had left the job after spring break. And so I was plopped into a middle school program the day after spring break. And so I had to finish from spring break to the end of the year in a band program that was struggling. It was a struggling band program. It was a program that, COVID was we're still reeling from COVID. This is a program that had not been to any meaningful performances or evaluations.
Mhm.
They did one the year before, they did one competition and they only marched two-thirds of the marching show. And the year before that, they did like stand tunes. So it was a struggling program, small size. Great school though. I loved the school. The administration was amazing. My coworkers were amazing there. Just the band program was struggling there. I worked there up until this past May, and I got an opportunity to move to Nashville, Tennessee. So I'm currently living in Nashville, Tennessee, teaching at a private school or independent school here in the city, which has been very, very interesting. It's a unique place. It's like an open I have a free reign to do kind of whatever I see fit. So it's a really interesting opportunity.
Awesome. Yeah. Okay, I never knew about the 14 different band
Oh
directors
yeah,
K through 12. That is crazy, especially for me who basically I had just the we got a new band director in sixth grade, and then they came in and it was they were a couple, basically the one of them did the middle school, the other one did the high school, so I just kind of had the same people from 7th through
yeah.
12. So 14 is crazy, and then you said I want to be stable and I want to be the stable thing in
Hmm.
somebody else's life, and I want to be a band director. So wow,
Pardon
look
me,
at
my
you
cats are trying to
jumping.
get out of my apartment. Hang on, they're trying to
Oh.
get out of my room. Hey, come on out. Go,
Okay.
go, go see your brother. Sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. We love little guests.
Hmm.
But I think I wanted to talk about first to start off with was that substituting experience. Like obviously you graduated in December, so it's
Hmm.
not exactly prime time for jobs. But Were you just doing like general classes? Were you subbing for bands, or were you just kind of taking whatever you could find?
Yeah, at that point, fortunately, there's a high demand for substitute teachers, especially in the post-COVID days. So I was bouncing around between January and February. I was doing a little bit of door dashing. I was doing landscaping work. I was throwing axes, and I was doing the substitute teacher thing. And I really enjoyed being a substitute teacher. I primarily was hired for elementary school. So it turns out elementary school teachers are absent a whole lot, at least in Jones County, Mississippi. So I pretty much every day I was in an elementary school classroom, and it's me bouncing in and out just for momentary times. I got to teach mostly elementary, some high school, and a couple of days in middle school, and they are very, very different. I will tell you that.
Yes, I believe that. I one of my previous friends that was guesting, she's basically kind of done a little bit of everything in her current schedule, and then another one, Val. Actually, Val's kind of gone from
Mhm.
K through three to middle school, and now is at high school. And so yeah, again, I don't like we get a class on elementary stuff, but I don't know how y'all do it. That is a lot of energy. That's a lot of excitement. That's all I remember. But you did it. So proud of you
I
for
did
that.
not teach music. Let me clarify. I was not a music substitute teacher. I was a general substitute teacher of
I just
anything.
mean in general. Like
Yeah,
it is energy and a lot of like paying attention and just keep moving on. So,
I loved it.
um,
It was
either
awesome.
way. Oh, that's good to hear. Yeah, I think sometimes we have like a negative approach to K through five. So that's good to hear that you had a good experience.
Yeah, it was awesome.
But okay, so the transition from that in the middle school, going to uh, primarily elementary substituting to then now going to a middle school in the middle of basically 75% of the way through the school year. So in that summer afterwards that you started, like what was your kind of game plan now that you kind of had a taste of the how what you needed to do the next year? Because that's a rough transition, and so that might for some people, especially into rough or an under a developing band program, for some people that might be very defeating. So, like, what was your kind of way to kind of like? I guess what I'm asking is how. What was your way to kind of pump yourself up for the next year without like kind of psyching yourself out at the same time?
Yeah, that's a great question. It was defeating is a good word. It was very difficult. It I I'm trying to figure out. There's so many ways. I could spend hours just talking about this one question, but I'm gonna try and condense it down. So when I got hired in, there was a huge reality shock because you're Dr. Cosby. We both know Dr. Cosby. I had a phone call with her, and I kind of said like, Dr. Cosby, I don't feel like I'm ready for this. Like I feel like I was way in over my head. I don't like. I thought I knew what I was doing. Like whenever I graduated, I was like, like chest thumping, like I'm ready to go. Put me in, coach. And after a month of being in that situation, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I do not know what's going on right now. And so I called her, and she told me that, this is normal. This is how most band directors feel within their first, especially someone who come in right before state testing. I mean, I came in and their middle school evaluation was like 2 weeks out. Like I came in at
Oh
a
wow.
wild time. I mean,
Hmm.
their spring concert was a month after I got there. It was a very, and then also like as soon as I got dropped in, day one is like, all right, recruiting is happening, and so I'm having to do recruiting, and then the state evaluation for kids I don't know, and then a spring concert, and then state testing. So it was very, very jarring. Um, so Dr. Cosby told me that a music education degree is basically a driver's license. Like when you're 16 or 17 years old and you get your driver's license, you're not a perfect driver, and there's still rules of the road that you don't know yet, and you're a bit of a hazard on the roads. But as you drive and as you learn more, then you kind of get more used to it, and that was my experience for sure. Um, Getting into my first, so we had the end of the spring, summer, and then getting into the beginning of the first year. I was very excited because whenever I got hired in, there was no orientation, there was none of this. It was a, hey, we need you to work, or there's a job opportunity for you. A couple of days later is the interview, and then within 2 weeks of that, I'm like boots on the ground teaching. So there was no orientation. It was a get in there. The instructions were to survive. Get in there and make it to May.
Okay.
Stay alive. That's the basic what I got. Like if you can make it to May and not quit, you're doing a great job. Uh,
Okay.
and so I was super excited getting into the next school year because I got to see. I had not seen the marching band at this point. I got to see what marching band was like. I got to finally getting a paycheck for being being a marching band teacher. Finally got to do orientation. Finally got to see like what my HR benefits were. All these things. I got a good normal paycheck at this point because my paycheck was prorated beforehand. So I was by the
Um,
end of that summer, I was on my last $30. I was broke.
yeah,
So getting money, getting orientation, being able to go to band camp, being able like that was exciting for me. And it was still tough. It was really hard. It was college, even the best universities, I don't think can prepare you for that.
absolutely. That is something that I've kind of been saying through these because with all the people that I've been talking to, a lot of us have had, of course, unique experience and stuff like that. But I think, and I think I've mentioned this every time on this, but just in case somebody's tuning in for a specific episode, I've kind of been saying that like your first year or two outside of undergrad, especially, you're like, oh, they didn't teach me this, they didn't teach me that, blah blah blah. I can't believe it. And then I think now that we're 4 years removed, which is a little crazy. Now that we're about 4 years removed, I'm like, actually, I don't think there's certain things that we can actually go over. A lot of it's too situational. A lot of it's like real nitty gritty stuff that like you just kind of have to do in order to experience. Um, I think talking about it, which is part of the reason for this podcast, and saying that this could happen is kind of at least should be addressed. But for the most part, yeah, you're right. I agree. There's just certain things that they can't prepare you for coming in through most of a school year. Um, but how did you use? But when we're on the subject of preparation, I kind of remember from our undergrad education that basically they were kind of preparing us for like kind of a middle of the roads ensemble. Like maybe definitely has something there, but definitely something for us to improve. So obviously, your first experience was an ensemble that was very young and still developing the program. And so, are there things that you feel like could have been addressed in that way, or is it also kind of just a you kind of figure it out?
Yeah, I know I said before that colleges can't prepare you, but I do think there were some ways that in hindsight my university did not prepare me well enough for. With
Mhm.
much to the love of our university, I think there were some things that I didn't feel equipped for and I could have been better prepared for.
Mhm.
Um, like for example, my first day in, I'm sitting in front of my sixth grade flute section, and the flutes are playing a pitch together, and I'm like, "Hey, flutes, let's hear that. Listen around. Let's listen. Make sure we get one note. Like let's say, make sure we're tuning." And the kids are like, "What does the word tune mean?" Like I don't even know how to hold this thing correctly. I mean, I'm telling you, Aaron, there was a day in that first. Man, it was such a rough time. There was an entire day that my lesson plan for the day was, can I get the kids to put the instrument to their face? Like that's what we're going to do today is we're going to come in, we're going to sit down and we're going to pick our instruments up. And that's what we're going to do today. Because there'd be a lot of times, kids are just super angry that our beloved teacher is now gone and they're not coming back. So there was just a lot of time. Like I would say, hey, we're going to play this. And kids just wouldn't. They'd say, we're not doing that. Straight up, I'm not doing that. So before you can even, college was really good at preparing us like how to do these beautiful gestures and how to phrase a line and how to get vertical alignment and tuning and all these things and all this other like pedagogy tips and they really teach you how to have this beautiful pampered program. And I was like, if they would have put me in a like 5A high school band that was successful and had won championships or whatever, I would have been so successful. I think I'd have been doing great because I knew how to do all the things. I knew how to make the leadership talks. I knew how to tune a band. I knew how to do a lot of these things. But when you're sitting there with a kid who fundamentally hates your guts and fundamentally does not want to be in your class and also does not know how to play their instrument, you can't talk about vertical alignment and tuning and phrasing. You just can't do that. And I was not at all prepared. So there was just a time where I sat in there. I was like, oh, I don't have any of the skills that I need to do this. I know how to do this music. I don't know the first thing about this music.
Oh wow. Okay. I didn't think about that. That there are some students with
Mm-hmm.
that loyalty to their previous, and they're kids,
Mm-hmm.
so like they don't understand that it's a multifaceted reason probably why their director had left in the middle of the school year like that. So they probably just feel either like you came in and took that job, or that they just kind of feel betrayed and now you have to deal with that. That is a really strong point. Oh wow, that is a lot to deal with.
Yeah.
And then again, it is three-fourths of the way through the year, so like the fact that you're explaining some of these really basic concepts is also hard to prepare for because you're like not like mad, but at the same time you're kind of like, why didn't you already know this? Why didn't you already learn this? Um, oh, that is so interesting. Okay.
Yeah. And
Um,
kids will get upset about any like kids love their routines. They will tell you to your face they don't like routines and they want to be anarchists. Kids are obsessed with routines. They love it. And
absolutely.
so, just a small example is if the previous band director says their verbiage is 1, 2, ready, breathe, play. And you come in there and go 5, 6, ready, play. That change alone, they will not play. Some kids, some programs are like this. Some, depending on the culture, if you just change the way that you count off, some kids straight up will not play for you. At least that was my experience in this particular program because these kids are like, this person is nothing like the band director I had. And it wasn't until the next year I had another band director, a band director come in who was very, very, very intelligent, who showed me how to take a band program and ease your way into it. Not coming in guns a blazing, coming in, ruin with an iron fist, but to get the kids' trust first, get the kids to like you, get the kids to buy in, and then push them. I just came in. We're going to push. We're going to go heavy. We're going to make this beautiful. We're going to play Lincolnshire Posey Middle School, and they were just like, "We're not doing that." So there's a very delicate dog and pony show that you got to play to get the kids to say, "I will do this thing for you."
That is true. I mean, even for adults, like I think like a guest conductor or something like that. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I missed that entrance because you just kind of went for it, and I'm used to like a little bit more of a countdown or certain thing. So that's a
Mm-hmm.
good point. Oh, this is all really fascinating. But not to spend too much time on the dark times, the transition period. I still want to hear about the rest of your
Mm-hmm.
journey with things. And so, okay, so now in the timeline, we're at the part where we're starting the new year. You said you got a new head director
Mm-hmm.
that kind of took you under the wing a little bit. As you're transitioning and kind of finding your groove with the students. How is that work life balance? That's been a topic that's also kind of come up. Obviously, you have a little bit of rapport with the students. You know how the how things kind of work within the school and like your district requirements, but like you're still a young teacher, and I found that through talking with people that there really wasn't any for a lot of people. The first couple of years, or they're still like now in year five, they're like, yeah, I'm starting to try something. So like, I think I kind of want to directly ask about that this time instead of kind of just leaning into how was your work life balance your first full year or two?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's going to sound doom and gloom at first, but there's a happy ending.
Okay.
Um, the first year there is no work life balance. It is work, and I think maybe this is a controversial opinion. I think for a band director, you should, and it is okay to say my first year is going to be a work year. This first year is not going to be me enjoying my life year. this is going to be, I need to have a tough conversation with my family and spouse or significant other. This is going to be a lot, and I need your help and commitment on this. That I'm going to have to throw myself at work entirely. Because I mean, my first year was work 7 o'clock in the morning. Students come in, I'm on. Like I'm teacher mode all day up until 3:30. Slight little break when they're basically like a 30-minute period to babysit kids. Then you're out at a marching band rehearsal. Then
Mm-hmm.
after the marching band rehearsal, for me it was all right. I'm done at 5:30 to 6 o'clock. I'm back in my band hall studying, fixing instruments, because I didn't have a planning period. That wasn't a thing that I got. It was all
Oh,
day.
okay.
Yeah, I didn't have that. Wasn't a thing that I got to have. Um,
Was that like,
so
sorry, not to interrupt, but was that like you just didn't have one in the schedule, or you were doing stuff in the planning period that wasn't actually like planning, or like were you
we
covering class, or?
Yeah, so I had classes all day. I technically was allowed a planning period during the beginner percussion class because at the time we had a beginning percussion teacher. However, that person had a lot of conflicts. So I remember counting, and more days than not, I was teaching that class. And even on the days that I wasn't teaching that class, if I did have a planning period, it was use the bathroom, check your mailbox, check your emails, class is over. Because I had lunch in the middle of that. So it was 20 minutes to bathroom, check the mailbox, and then take the kids to lunch, get them lined up, supervise the kids for lunch, then line them up, bring them back. 15 minutes to check emails. Maybe you tighten the screws on a clarinet because the kids wasn't working, and that's all you got. There was no planning, there was no organizing, there was no grading. It was keep afloat for whatever. Like it was just managing the immediate must do right now things.
Okay,
Um,
gotcha.
and then we ended up having our percussion teacher ended up leaving, and was no longer employed there. So I ended up having to teach from February to the end of the year. So there was no planning period. And I was after marching band rehearsals, and after sectionals after school, I was staying in my band hall till 9 o'clock, printing, grading, looking up fingering charts, oboe fingering charts, the things that I told a kid I was going to do. Like, hey, I'll remember that. Just make sure like I don't forget this thing, little Timmy. I'll take care of that for you. Um, I was doing that till 9 o'clock. That's the boogeyman. The boogeyman is working 70 hours a week, 72 hours a week, every week for the entirety of the school year. But after you've worked there for long enough, you have resources. Like for example, if my first year is like kid needed a fingering chart, Googling what's the best fingering chart. Cool. The next year, French horn kid needs a fingering chart. I already got one saved on my computer. Here you go. Here it is. Or you already have your processes figured out and you already understand what logical steps need to happen and you already know how to talk to music sales representatives and you already know how to plan. You don't have to spend hours throwing your head against the wall thinking about what recruitment's going to look like. You've already done it, so you have a framework in your mind. So you don't have to spend 3 hours a day studying. You can spend half or less of that time actually planning. Um, but a little bit more doom and gloom is I realized after my last year, I worked at Past Christian for 3.5 years. I realized that I was not able to have a work life balance. It was not something that I could do. There are other band directors who have situations such that they can have a work life balance, and you have to be very, very intentional of it. That was not a thing that I could do. The way that my scheduling was worked, I had to be at the school for such a long time for every single day, and I realized that I couldn't do that. My mental health had collapsed. I ended up actually putting together an entire professional development and presented a professional development seminar on burnout because I had gotten to the point where I was going to leave the career. It was either I make a work change or I quit my job entirely and I do something else. I do landscaping for a living or something else. The cats are pawing at the door. I'm so sorry.
You're fine. I could tell the way you got up. I could tell it was a cat
Yeah,
thing.
they're just like trying to get out.
um, but okay, yes, and I'm glad you mentioned that because that was going to be my next question because you had mentioned that this burnout seminar a couple of times when we were kind of
Mm-hmm.
just texting to set this up. So that's part of the reason why I wanted to go on this like work life balance thing so that you could mention that. So, like, what kind of, well, you said what sparked it. So how did you go about it? Was it like a professional development or something like that? Or was it a specific conference or something that you administered this? Or was it like a school thing, like a school-wide thing?
Yeah, so I had gotten perfect attendance at Past Christian, and as a reward for getting perfect attendance, you got to either get some classroom credit or a professional development trip. So I used the professional development, and I went to TMEA, the Texas Music Educators Association. I got to go to that, which I'd been to Midwest before a couple of times, but this was the first time I got to go to TMEA, and so I went to that, and I was so burned out and so over the band thing at this point in my life, that I went to so many burnout sessions, and I on the flight up there, I listened to an audiobook on burnout. Like I was really dedicating myself to learning about burnout. But because I got to do this professional development, my school once every month or once every couple months, they have like big PD seminars. Like you can kind of pick your own, it's like buffet style, go to whatever seminars you want during the time frame. And as return for getting to go to this trip, I had to present what I had learned. And so I chose to give a topic on burnout. And that's why I put this together. So it was just at a like a quarterly professional development seminar that we used to host.
Okay, gotcha. And then, obviously, it's a whole seminar, but are there any highlights that you kind of want to share from it, or like if like any specific or interesting like research finds or something like that to anyone who's listening who might be kind of experiencing burnout right now?
Oh yeah, it's a lot to get into, because the unfortunate thing is there's not a pill you can take to cure burnout. It just doesn't happen that way. There's the best you can do is understand what burnout feels like and where it's coming from, and identify those emotions and deal with those emotions. Um, I wish I could just say like eat healthy and get 8 hours of sleep and then you'll be unburnout. That's just not how it works. It's a very intricate thing. It's burnout is a relationship with yourself, and you can't just say a magic word and make that relationship better. You have to really do some work. But the number one thing that helped me the most, I think, if I could distill it down into the most important thing, it was, if I asked you, and I want whoever's watching this to pause the video and think about this question very carefully. Hello, my name is blank, and I am a blank. I want you to take a moment to think about that. What was your gut reaction? What is the first thing that you say? Like, I am blank. What do you put your identity most in? Do you want to answer that for me?
Sure. Hello, my name is Aaron, and I'm a 26-year-old musician in the Metro Detroit area.
Okay, great. So I'm willing to bet that the people that are burned out most probably said, hello, my name is blank, and I'm a band director, or I'm a teacher, or I'm whatever, music educator in whatever sense. If you make that your sole and entire identity, then you have to be willing to accept whatever consequences come from that. For example, if I wrote on my forehead, music educator, and that is what I am, I walked everywhere and band director is on my forehead. If I have a really bad rehearsal one day, that is a stab at me. If I have a kid that drops out of band, that's a stab at me because I feel like I didn't do a good enough job. If my band gets a low score, that's a direct stab at me. Any negative thing that happens in your band is a direct tie to your person. But if you take music education and you put it over here, if you have a student that acts terribly one day and derails your program in whatever capacity, that goes here. I'm still John Hopkins. If your band gets a 3 at evaluation, that goes here. I go home and John Hopkins didn't get a 3. Band director got a 3. Um, my, well, you could put X, Y, Z, whatever bad thing happens, that goes here because this is for me, and some people may hear this and think this guy's full of it, but for me, this is transformative. In when I go home, I am John. I am John. I am a brother. I am a son. I am a friend. I am John. John does band directing, John is a band director, but I don't find my sense of self in being a band director. It is what I do and it's what I love to do. It is not who I am. And that was huge for me. That was huge for me.
I love that very much. So that was, and another reason why I really wanted you to talk about this too was because I also am a well experienced burnout person, but on the opposite end of it, obviously did not go into teaching at all. Which these every week I'm reminded why I did not go into teaching. Y'all are doing
Yeah.
great. You are. I couldn't do it. But I did the student route instead, and so I did the semi unfortunate decision. I don't regret it, but it definitely was not the easy decision of going straight through from undergrad to grad school during COVID, which was not fun, and took a big mental strain, especially with being in a 14 hours away from everything that I knew. And so I remember my second year, there are a couple things that I wanted to do, but I just didn't because I was like, I'm tired of being the student label. I'm tired of being
Mm-hmm.
a student. I'm tired of that being my all. I hate working. I'm very lazy by nature, but I was like, I want a real paycheck. I want to work an actual job. I don't want to. At the time, I was still thinking about being a band director, and then I ended up finding admission stuff because of my assistantship. But uh, I was so tired. There were like certain classes that I kind of wanted to do, but I decided not to because I'm like, I'm so tired to the point where this takes a lot of focus and a lot of diligence, and I don't have it. And the teacher, I really liked him, and he was a great person. We had like kind of a side conversation about it, and I was like, I like this. I want to be able to like maybe email him one day and ask a question about something because he's a composer and he does audio stuff, and I was kind of interested in that, and that's what the class was. But I'm like, if I take this class and I struggle through it and I don't show my best self that like this is like not a good impression and I probably can't use this resource later. So I'd rather not. And although I kind of wish I would have just had the energy to do it, it was kind of survival mode, as you had kind of said earlier. It was just like I got to get through this. I got to get through my degree. I now kind of know what I'm doing, and that was part of the point of it. I now kind of, especially by the end of it, I was like, okay, now I know job prospects and what I kind of want to do. I'm set. I'm ready to get out of here. I can't do it anymore because it's just the yeah. Like you were kind of saying, I did have that. Like when I would introduce myself and like I'm Aaron. I'm a grad student at BGSU and blah 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 blah,
Yeah.
and it would just be about the degree or music stuff, and then I feel silly for this, and I'm still trying to get better at it. But like, I would start with that, and then when people would ask me questions about it because it's interesting, especially to like non-musicians, it's like, oh my god, you're. Then they would ask me all the same questions pretty much, but they would ask me that, and they're like, oh my god, stop asking me about this. I'm tired of talking about it. I'm tired of thinking about it. But like, people are just trying to show genuine interest in
Mm-hmm.
something and like share and relate to their stories like oh I used to do band and stuff like that and internally I was like oh my god stop talking I don't want to talk about this let's talk about something else
Mm-hmm.
that's not really fair so long tangent but basically I love this topic and while I am sorry that you had to do a lot of soul searching about it and like kind of were brought to the brink I think like you were kind of said it was like kind of a doom and gloom thing I think especially in those first like 5 years we're all kind of brought to that point where it's like, okay, a decision has to be made to combat this. Otherwise, like, I got to get out because I can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
Um, thank you. I really like this topic, and this is something that I've talked about on the phone with our mutual friend Val. We've had so many like rant sessions that spent
Yeah.
like 2 hours just talking about
God, I
things and
love Val.
yes, she was my first person on this podcast, and when I do release it, and I'll send you this afterwards. You should watch that video because that was really good. It felt like an old Kiki that we used to have whenever we were both in undergrad.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so continuing down the timeline of John. So we're coming through. We're here. We're doing the thing. We experienced the burnout. Let's talk about like kind of towards the end, right before your transition to the job that you're currently doing? Like, how did that come up? What was kind of the catalyst if you were looking to start looking, and like kind of that transition to moving to a whole new place because you were pretty much born and raised. I know the name Jonesville. No, I don't remember where you're from, um,
Yeah.
but you're very Mississippi.
Very.
So
I don't
yes.
sound it, but I'm very Mississippi.
You're very Mississippi. So
Yeah.
I honestly did not expect you to like leave. No tea, no shade. I'm not trying to be a jerk about it, but like I just know that you have a lot of pride, and I know you want to teach kids like you because we've had
Mhm.
conversations about that and kind of inspire that passion. So you were always one of the people that I kind of pegged that was gonna like do the good thing and like or not the good thing but do the thing and like stay there and inspire the next generation. So I'm
Mhm.
kind of interested about I love this transition for you, but I'm also like kind of interested what was the catalyst about moving to Nashville.
Yeah, I'm really glad you asked that. There's a lot in there that I can isolate. So I'll just give you the quick layout of how it went, but I'm also interested in talking about the sense of like I feel a bit like a sellout for going to a very affluent private school. There's a bit of that goes on, and I'm interested in talking about that for a second.
Yep.
Um, so can you hear my cat trying to get out of my room
I
right now?
can't hear the cat.
Nice.
It's
Come on,
progressively
buddy.
gotten a little louder.
Come on,
It's
go
very
get.
much giving Eric Andre, let me in, let
Let
me
me in. Yeah, yeah. They're yeah for sure. Um,
You're
Either way,
fine. I promise though. It's okay.
yeah. So I had part of my burnout this journey was realizing that if I'm gonna like separated my identity from being a band director. I am John, who is a band director, and
Hmm.
then with that is okay. Well, what does John do? Like, what does life look like? I mean, I for since 2010, I've been so wrapped up in band that I was like, I don't know what I don't know what life looks like. I mean, I've done some hobbies and this and that and whatever, but like in the day to day stuff, like what does that look like? Because if I'm not putting all my eggs in the band thing, what do I do now? So I wanted to make music. I wanted to do solo stuff. I wanted to spend time with friends and family. I wanted to spend time with my girlfriend. I wanted to um, go places. I wanted to live my life outside of a band hall. Um, and at first, that felt like a really selfish thing. It was like, no, but like, I mean, I've had mentors, really, really great mentors, great, very prominent band directors in Mississippi tell me like you need to be staying up till 9 o'clock every single night studying this. And I was just like, I'm not doing that. I can't put myself through that anymore.
Hmm.
So I was going to move back to the middle of nowhere, Mississippi with my family. But my girlfriend and I were talking because they're just living on the Mississippi Gulf Coast is great. Living on the beach was cool, but there's just not a lot to do. You can go look at the water, but it comes to a point where it's like, okay, I don't want to look at the water anymore.
You
There's
definitely can't
casinos
get
and
in
there's
it because that's
yeah,
yeah.
there's casinos and there's restaurants, and that's about all you get. And it's just like I need young people, I need community, I need to have groups, I need to do things. So I'm gonna make a move. I was gonna go back home to my family, but my girlfriend, she was experiencing the same thing. Being a young person on the Mississippi Gulf Coast is it's something. It's unique because there's not a lot of young people. So we started looking into cities. She's a graphic designer, so we started looking into like what cities have a scene for graphic design. And so we looked into Florida, some places in Texas. We looked into maybe some places in Mississippi. We looked into all around, and I was just like, hey, Nashville is great for me. So we looked into Tennessee. I love the mountains. So I applied to a bunch of schools throughout Tennessee, and I somehow, by the grace of God, got accepted in an interview at this amazing private school named University School of Nashville. Um, and they hired me. I don't know why they did, but they hired me. Uh, so, and
Yeah.
my girlfriend, she also got a job here. So it kind of just became let's go there. I really love the school. The school is beautiful. It's amazing. It's very unique. It's very affluent. It's a big culture shock. I'll say that. Um, yeah, if you sorry, the kiddos are over here running around. Um, if you wanted to, yeah, I'll leave it at that. I can get more into like the feeling like a sellout in a second if you want. But did you want to any prompting things you want to talk about it with that?
No, I want you to keep going. Well, first I want to say that you very much deserve this job. It wasn't somehow. You have the experience. You're a great educator. You have a very like interesting timeline, and like you've been through a lot that most people would have probably quit, but instead you trucked through. You made impacts in your
Kind.
program and things like that, and so and you have all these great references, all these great directors and stuff, and so like you very much deserve this job, John. I
Thanks. I
just want to put
appreciate
that
that. That
out
means
there.
a lot.
You're welcome. Yeah. It's like no negative talk at this point. We can't do that anymore. There's already enough people that aren't in
Yeah.
our corner. So
Yeah.
silently, I'm always rooting for y'all whenever I see y'all go
It's
out and
very
get new
kind. I
things.
appreciate that.
But besides that, no. I want you to keep kind of talking about it. Like keep going, basically. Yeah, this is good.
Yeah. Um, I had a moment when I got here at USN where I realized, tuition is very expensive here. It's a very, very lavish school. Um, they are very financially successful. Like it's a good school, and all the kids are, they come from seemingly good, stable homes. A lot of parents who are very, very affluent. So, and like most of these kids have like maids in their houses, and they don't have to work jobs, and they have nice clothes and nice things. So it became, me growing up as someone who grew up in poverty and was in an area where drug abuse was very high, and there's a lot of my friends and family that was, sucked into the drug abuse. It's like band was my escape. It was the thing that got me out of, if it weren't for band, I'd be back in my hometown doing God knows what. Probably, I don't even know. It's scary to think about what my life would look like if it weren't for band. I would still be there, and I don't think I would be doing well, because a lot of people there are not doing well. Uh, so for me, like band was a way to get other kids out. Like, hey, let's get on the bus. Let's get out of here. Let's make stuff. Let's make a name for ourselves. Let's be successful. Let's have a thing that we can champion. Let's work as a group. Let's develop these social skills. Let's struggle productively together in a safe environment. It was a lot of that. And then now that I'm here, it's like there's not many kids who are coming from that. There's a couple, but there's not many kids who are coming from that type of environment. So it's like, am I abandoning my morals? And, I had a moment where I realized that I was still doing a good thing because I had a kid. Um, he couldn't play a note on his clarinet in class the other day, high school kid.
Mhm.
And I said, "Was your clarinet broken?" He said, "No, I'm broken." And I was like, "Whoa, rich kids are upset too." I was like, "Rich kids can be sad." Oh my God, I thought y'all had it going on. Uh, but then, I had other kids. I modeled my trombone in front of the students, and I had kids walk up like, "Hey, I want you to know that I'm really sorry that I'm bad at my instrument." And I'm like, "Oh my God, you sweet baby! Like, no, don't be sad." Like
Oh my
these kids
God.
they're struggling too because, you know, I've come to realize that it doesn't matter how wealthy you are. There's always problems. Now, that being said, having your bills paid and having food is a pretty cool thing to have.
Yes.
Having health insurance is a pretty cool thing to have, but
Yes, the
uh,
expectations though from a lot of those kids are
yeah,
extremely high. So as soon as you
yeah,
said sorry, I want you to know I'm sorry, I'm bad at my instrument. I'm like, oh, you sweet summer
yeah,
child. What are you being told at home or something like that? Not saying anything, not trying to get you in trouble or anything like that. But I'm like,
yeah,
oh my god, that's like, it's okay. Like you're here to have fun and learn. Like everyone's gonna be bad for a little bit. You don't have to
right.
apologize. Oh my
So
gosh.
it opened my eyes that kids are kids everywhere. It doesn't matter what the clothes they wear. Um, Kids who come from stable households have problems too. Now, and also, and in addition to that, um, I have more free time now. I'm not teaching marching band anymore. I have free. I work a normal paced job, which I'm so grateful for. I'm grateful that I have a normal work life balance now. I can go home at 4 o'clock and enjoy the rest of my life, which is the first time that's ever happened. Um, I now have extra time and resources that I can give to a philanthropic thing. Like I have my summers in which I have actually been given the opportunity. When I first got to Nashville, someone I was put in contact with someone who runs a music camp over the summer. Like that's an avenue for kids who come from all kinds of walks that I can feed into. I have other ideas that once I get more established, there are things I can do to still help the impoverished and the lowly. And then that's not to say like kids, even no matter where they come from, they need a community. It doesn't matter. Um, Everybody needs a community. Everyone needs a place to belong, and everyone needs to feel believed in. So I still can provide that, and now I have extra time and resources that I can also go out and start something and help kids that need it.
Nice. Yeah. I kind of relate to this a bit. In well, in a sense, in a loose sense. Obviously, I'm not in the teaching side of things, but I am still on the staff side of education,
Mm.
and I'm on the higher ed side of it too. But I work for University of Michigan, and that is a very nice school.
I've been there.
And
It's nice.
yes, it is. And it is. Oh yeah, you did the
The conducting
conducting.
thing,
Oh,
yeah,
yep, yep, yep.
with Michael
It's
Hitchcock,
very,
yeah.
yes, it's a very nice school. And the tuition, like for my program, the tuition for 1 year for an out-of-state student is more than the cost of both my undergraduate and my grad degrees combined for 1 year. So that's insane. And at first, I kind of struggled with that too. And it's like, because I got into college admissions because I wanted people to make, you know, I wanted to be supportive for somebody who doesn't maybe know the college process and, kind of talk things through about like, is this program the right fit for me? Should I take on this amount of debt for this thing? And, obviously I still have a job to do, but I kind of can, softly like, be like, let's think about this. Let's analyze these numbers just a little bit more. And let me be realistic about what I can offer you and stuff like that. Not to get too into it, but there are a lot of students who that is not really a worry. At the end of the day, like everyone wants scholarship because no one wants to pay for it. But at like they know that they've got it. They have to ask just because they might their support system who's paying for it is going to ask them to like try to get a discount basically or something like that. That's fine. I completely understand that. But it's a tough thing whenever I'm recruiting because I like to really reach out to students that are very underrepresented and work with students who might not have thought that you know they hear University of Michigan and they think, oh, I can never do that. But it's tough trying to recruit for those because they need more support and more things like that. So at the end of the day, if we really wanted to, I could stop doing that and I could just work with the kids who can definitely afford it, who have the resources, the materials, and stuff like that to get in. But it is like a that sellout type of thing, like you were saying. That's like I feel like I do make an impact where I am, but I feel like I could make a better impact on at schools that are a little bit smaller, a little less grand, and have people apply from places that are more people apply from places that are a little bit less resourced. Um,
Mhm.
but I think I like what I know I like what I do because like you were kind of saying these students still have problems and then also like you mentioned that you have a couple of students that come from similar backgrounds to you and I do too. I have a couple of students that I've had very real conversations about like demographic and like I don't are these people here like me and stuff like that. Of course most of that is generally race, but um, like I've taken solace in those conversations and end up enjoying them the most. So I'm hoping for you, like having those moments with those students on both sides of the spectrum is something that will happen as you get to know your kids more and they can come to you about things. I hope that that becomes something for you as well, to where you can kind of just like take solace in the fact that like you were saying, I have students that are pretty well off, but there are certain students whose home life might seem balanced, but maybe they aren't behind the scenes. And if I can give them the support that most people would overlook, it makes a difference.
Yeah.
So I get that a lot. And also, sorry, another comment was the young people. That's also something that I've talked about with a couple people on the podcast about moving to a new area. I've been in the Metro Detroit area for about 2 years now, or I've been Southeast Michigan for about 2 years now, and I'm now just kind of putting together and piecing things, but and finding friends and stuff like that. But kind of like you were saying, like I need community. I need to find things. I joined a community band last year, and that was super fun. And my travel schedule these next 2 months is going to be insane. So I'm not doing. I think I've decided I'm not doing that first cycle, but I'm really looking forward to doing like from basically November all the way till April with it to find that. And I love going to different things. Like there was Jazz Fest yesterday. I went to that. I just kind of a coworker kind of reminded me about that, and that was nice. And so it's nice to like kind of have things available to do to redo music stuff that's not me at a computer all day, or festivals or other things, or just like nature and metro parks, river walks, stuff like that, to where it's like a nice little site. So I think the first couple of years you're like really I just need to do the job, I just need to do the job, I just need to do the job. But there's other things to enjoy about life, and I think that your environment and your location can definitely also either help you kind of enjoy these first couple of years, or they can kind of add to deteriorating it, because if there's nothing to do, then all you do is definitely just go work home. So but yeah, sorry. I took over a little bit, but that was just a lot of really great points, and a lot of things that I know a lot of people have been kind of working through this first couple of years outside of that shelter of a university. But so you, how long have y'all been in session?
Um, about a close to a month. Yeah. We're working on week 3 or 4.
Okay, gotcha. Is there anything that you're particularly looking forward to do now that you don't have to, or now that I guess you're freed up from marching band since your school doesn't have one. Is there any like new projects that you're trying to pursue or something like that with these students that maybe you didn't have the opportunity to um, at your last school?
Yeah. So I have wonderful, great, the best. I, I've taught a lot of really great students, but the students I have here are just the best. I mean, they don't make kids as good as the kids I have right now.
Mhm.
So they're really open to learning, and like they welcomed me in a way that I've not been welcomed in before. Like they've been really great to me. Um,
That's good to hear.
but the previous band director was there, a great, intelligent, marvelous guy. Um, he was a jazz bass player. So he wasn't as much, from my understanding. Now, if he's watching this, hey, buddy, you did a great job. The kids are awesome. But from what I understand, the kids, he was more of like a jazz bass session kind of band, like rock band, indie band kind of guy. Not so much into the wind ensemble, which they have done a good job at that. But the band is very like pep tunes band focused right now. Like they're really into playing like pop songs.
Hmm.
So I'm really, really, really excited to carry on that and play the fun canned music, but also expose them into like really getting something intimate out of music, like really, really unlocking feelings that you cannot put into words, really having this combined ethereal experience through music that I am not sure yet. I've only been there a month. I've only had the kids 6 times. Not sure yet they really understand that. We'll see. So I'm excited of really working on like expressing yourself. You can take a line of just concert Fs and play that expressively. Um, that I'm excited with. He has done a phenomenal job with his jazz band. So they don't have a standard big band because the school's very small. They have a kind of a just a not a chamber ensemble, but a combo. So it's just
Oh,
wherever
right.
kids can show up. It's called the mic ensemble. So it's music, improvisation, and composition. So the kids come together, they pick a song, they learn the changes of the song, and they learn how to improv over it, and they compose their very own originals and variations and covers of songs. So I'm super excited to get more experience and to teach kids more about like the the world of jazz and commercial music, and so I have an opportunity to play the pep band marching band ish style songs, and then I have some really quality literature that we can really dive into, and then we can also really get into like improv and jazz, which I'm excited for that.
Okay, that's really fun. I love that.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's something. I mean, when I was in high school, we had just started a jazz band, and so most of what we were playing was just like kind of that commercial music. And I think we started to play like actual. They started to play like actual jazz tunes and stuff like that after I left. It was a little bit more established, so that's fun. That's really fun. Sometimes I do kind of kick myself for not putting more time in trying to learn jazz, especially as a saxophonist, because that's always really
Mhm.
awkward. But it is what it is, and I still have time to learn. But I know I could probably keep you here for another like half an hour or something like that. Keep talking about certain things like burnout and stuff. But it is a 3 day weekend, and I want you to enjoy your 3 day weekend.
And you
So
too. You should go out and enjoy it.
oh no, I'm staying in. Actually, I'm staying in because the rest of this month is flying to Atlanta, Houston, New York, back to Mississippi for a wedding. It's a lot. So I'm making the executive decision to just sit my ass at home while I can.
Yeah.
So I like to kind of wrap up because we hit a couple of different like heavier kind of topics. So I like to kind of wrap up in like a kind of a positive note and a reflective note. So I just have a couple of questions for you. And so one of them I think we just kind of covered naturally about what you're looking forward to. But like, what are three things that you are proud that you've accomplished?
Yeah, I think the one that I talk about the most that I'm sure some people around me are getting tired of hearing was this past year I got to be in a Mardi Gras funk band, the Gulf Coast Second Line, and we got to play in the like Mardi Gras parades on Fat Tuesday in New Orleans. So that was really cool. A once in a lifetime experience doing like to go to Mardi Gras in New Orleans is a once in a lifetime experience. To play in a marching band or in a second line band
Yes.
was a very interesting thing.
Okay.
I liked that a lot. I'm super proud that I to be a musician in Nashville, like the holy mecca of music in like the world. To be here is insane. The amount of raw talent that is in this town is unlike any place I've ever been. Like for example, if I'm back in my hometown of Mississippi and I say I'm a musician, that could mean a lot of things. That could mean I learned how to play the G chord on the guitar. That could mean I played a basic drum beat at church one time. That could mean I learned how to play Fur Elise with my two fingers on a piano. In Nashville, you walk up to anybody. I was at a bar the other day and I talked to the bartender and I was like, without even meeting him, I was like, what kind of music do you play? Because I just knew that he was a musician. I just I was like, I'm gonna see what happens. What kind of music do you play? Without even getting, to introduce him. I have a degree in music theory and jazz improvisation. I was like, great, great, fantastic. You know, you and then as soon, like someone from the other table was like, I heard you have a degree in music theory. Well, I'm thinking about trying to figure out what scale would go best over a dominant three chord. I'm like, what even is a dominant three chord? Like, what? Anyway, uh, so he, also, this guy over here was probably talking out of his behind because he was like, "What do you play over a predominant if you're in a major, a dominant three and a dominant six?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?"
No.
He's like, "You play the A scale, the A like diminished scale." I was like, "What are you talking about? You're just saying words. You're just saying musical terms in random order right now." Anyway, so I'm super proud of playing in New Orleans. I'm super proud of being in Nashville. And I'm super proud that I have the opportunity and the energy now to make my own music. So that's something that I'm going to start working on. I'm working on getting a music setup. I have like some audio interfaces and some gear. So I'm working on just making my own music for fun.
Ooh, that is so exciting. Yes.
I'm very excited for it.
I talked to so many other musicians and they're like, "Oh, I wish I could write. I wish I could do this." I'm like, "Do it." Like you went through, especially if you have the degree in it, like you went through the theory classes, you know your instrument, you know how music works. Just write. I don't know why there's like a thing sometimes with people like writing, making their own stuff. I'm like, I mean, yeah, I got a degree in it, but it doesn't mean that I needed the degree to do it. I could have just done it. I just
Well,
wanted
sure,
like
but if you work 70 hours a week in music, it's a little tough to write stuff when you get home.
that is true. I mean, so more so of like the there's like this kind of weird pressure where people are like, oh, I can never write music. It's too much, blah, 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 blah. Like, they just don't think that they'd be good at it, I guess. And I'm like,
Hmm.
well, I'm not doing it for a profession. You're an educator for, like, in this sense, you're an educator for your profession. So this is just something on the fun, on the side. So, like,
Hmm.
just do it. But the time thing, yes, is definitely a big thing. So I'm glad you're able to do that. And yes, I'm glad you're loving Nashville. I love it when y'all move to fun places because then I can bully y'all into letting
Yeah.
me stay. Um,
Yeah.
and then the next one is we've touched a lot of good points, but is there like one final piece of advice for those who've recently graduated or are about to leave, like undergrad or grad school, and kind of go out into the world, the working world?
Yes. I'm gonna cheat. I'm gonna give you two.
Okay.
Um, Number one is it will be hard. I don't care how hard you worked in school. I don't care how many accolades you have to your name. I don't care who you know. I don't care who you name drop. You are going to struggle, and that is okay. You are going to have a tough time unless you're in a super cushy, comfortable program where you are bottle fed. You are going to flail around, and that is okay. Everyone does it. Even the best of the best that you know, had some struggles. You will have a hard time your first year, and that is okay. It will pass. You will get good at your job. You will just pause the video and say this to yourself. You will get good at your job. You will. I mean it. Say it to yourself. You will get good. And then the second thing is give yourself and give others grace. I can't tell you how many times, like, there's a lot of band directors I know who have quit because it was just too much. You know, having a family and having a young child and having a wife and having a family and having sick and aged relatives and also working a band program is a lot. And a lot of times there's some band directors who their band starts slipping and their productivity and their band starts going down. And there's a lot of people who treat them really harshly. I mean, I've met some band directors who are great people that I would sit down and have a meal with that have struggling programs. And a lot of other band directors label them as a bad person. They're a piece of crap. They are not good at their job. They're ruining this program. There's just a lot of people who give a lot of hate. So, to that, you are not what you do. What you do is not who you are. You can be bad at your job right now and also be a really cool human being. And you can be really good at your job and be a really bad human being. These two things, you can
Clock it.
who
Yes.
you are is not what you do. So give people grace. You don't know what people are going through.
Oh, yes. Clock it. That's another thing that I could talk about forever is that there are some really excellent musicians. There are some really excellent educators. They are horrible human beings. Um,
Yeah.
but oh Lord, I gotta talk about that too at some point.
Yeah,
But
if you go to your state convention and go find the person, don't tell them this, but go walk up to the person that got fours at festival. Go walk up to the person that has a band program with 20 kids in it. Go walk up to this 1A person, have a conversation with them. You might find that you have a lot in common with them. You might find that the people who have struggling band programs are amazing fathers and are there for their kids every night. And you might find that Band of America championship winning person that you inspire, you have a conversation with them, and they might brush you off. They might not be a good person. So give everyone grace.
give
Everyone,
everyone
give them grace.
okay. Give grace to get grace. I like that.
Yeah.
Um, and then lastly, I know that you just started at this place, so if y'all don't have this set up yet, but are there any plugs? So like, are there any like personal ensembles you want to like shout out, or like a website or like a music page if you have one, or like if for your ensemble if y'all already have like kind of a social media or something like that where you post videos and you want kind of people to just like highlight your kids and stuff. Off the top of your head, do you know any of those socials if you have them, or if not, that's fine too.
Yeah, our we have a policy at our school that our as of right now, I'm trying to work some magic. We'll see how it goes. Our band program is not allowed to have a private Facebook page. We like to channel everything under the whole Facebook
Oh,
page.
gotcha. Hmm.
So we'll see if that changes. There's some very good reasons why. That's not a malicious thing. There's some genuine good reasons as to why we don't have our own private social media. Maybe that'll change soon.
I get it.
Um,
It's yeah, it's kids. It's always
yeah,
nuanced when it comes to the
there's a lot
future.
of stuff
Yeah.
going on there.
Yep.
Um,
Mhm.
but I just started an Instagram, and I'm gonna try if I can figure out get my little studio area set up and learn how to like use recording and audio interfaces and what's the acronym for digital audio workface?
DOS.
DAW. Yeah, I'm gonna learn how to work that, and I'll be uploading stuff to my brand new Instagram that is called John Hopkins Blows.
Okay. Oh yeah, you
Yeah,
did have me on that.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Cool. Yeah. At first I was like, has he always had this?
It's a new one.
Okay. It's new. Okay, that's exciting. Yes. And if you need a recommendation, you should look into Reaper if you're looking for digital audio workstations. At least for right now, it's free. It's I forget what the term is, but basically like it says it's like a 30-day trial. And then like afterwards they like really suggest and like a thing pops up saying, "Oh, you've been doing this for 40 days, like you should buy it." And you can just kind of click ignore and you can keep using it. If you want to buy it, support, that's fine, but at least while you're dipping your toe in the water without having to
Mm-hmm.
commit to buying this DAW that you don't really know yet, then like I think Reaper is a good one to kind of introduce yourself. And then if you want to like upgrade and do something else and you find something and pay for it, then that's fine. But Reaper's worked for me. I did it for my classes, and that's the one I'm going to. I'm also trying to start. I said this during the summer, but maybe a little bit later in the fall. I'd like to start making like video game soundtrack, like little samples and stuff, and that's probably what
Yeah.
I'm going to be using. So that's just a recommendation, but that's awesome. Yes, I'll put that in like the description section of the YouTube video, so that way people can follow you. Thank you for that. But and thank you again for taking the time out of your Sunday to come and chat with me, share your story a bit, give some really great advice, and listen to me ramble a little bit occasionally. But thank you all also who are listening right now for another episode of Let's Talk About Podcast, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks,
Bye.
Aaron.